All right, guys, welcome back to my channel. We are streaming live from Tampa, Florida. Today is Thursday, January 19th, 9:18 p.m. I see Devon McKenzie, Noah. I see Ben Delated on the chat. It's great to see all you guys here. And this is like a chain reaction. Adam Francisco reacts to Steven Crowder's reaction to Daily Wire's reaction to Steven Crowder's reaction to Daily Wire's offer. I think I nailed it. And there's two ways to look at this situation. I haven't really picked a side yet after the first two shots. I think Steven had a great video, and then I thought the Daily Wire had a great video. So this is going to be interesting now to see the third response in the Steven Crowder Daily Wire saga. So we're going to pull the video, we're going to react to it, and let's see how it goes.
They don't get deals that...
They can be wage slaves for a little bit, come over and make a salary and grow their brand. They can be wage slaves for a little bit. They can be wage slaves for a little bit.
God bless the talk boy. Those things are worth like $5,000 now. It's an expensive gag. So didn't want to have to do this, but Daily Wire outed themselves very, very quickly. And sure enough, if you see all of the people who work there, some of whom I have relationships with, they immediately tried to make this all about money. Here's the problem. There are a few problems, and I'll go through with some receipts. Everything that was said about negotiations, how they transpired, beyond the numerical value, which is true and I'll get to, everything else is untrue. I don't really want to get into.
For those of you who don't know how much he's talking about, they were looking at a starting offer, an opening offer of $50 million for 4 years with a 2-year possible extension for another $25 million, making the total package worth $75 million. That was the opening offer for 6 years, which comes out to $12.5 million per year, which is a little more than $1 million per month, which is an insane amount of money.
That's completely irrelevant. Here's why. Go back to the 20-something minute video, 30-minute video. You've never heard me say or write anywhere online that these offers weren't paying enough money. Why? Because it's not about the money. It's kind of unreal to me that the only thing these people can still talk about is the money. The conversation was about conservatism, the movement, and big tech. They keep talking about money. I'm talking about a country. I'm talking about a movement. I'm talking about making a difference. It's not about the money, and Jeremy and the Daily Wire know that. How do I know they know that? Because after, according to what he said, I walked away from the offer. I did place one more call to the Daily Wire, and I made it very, very clear that it wasn't about money. That was not the topic of conversation. There was zero, as they've tried to portray this, miscommunication. It was one last call where the only thing that I asked for, my only demand, was their word, and not even for me, but for other people coming up facing these kinds of contracts. Let's say it's a kid who comes in with 500,000 YouTube subscribers or something like that, 100,000. Let's say it's some other kid you're paying 6 figures to come in and do it. There's not the penalty of the demonetization or if they're removed from iTunes, Apple, YouTube.
Yeah, sure there would be.
And here's something else. I was also very measured.
So if I was making, for example, guys, you got to understand something. Steven Crowder is already a very wealthy man, right? He's already a multimillionaire every year. So let's say he's making $5 million a year right now, right? This offer would have a little, but it might have doubled his. Now, the one thing you got to realize is $12.5 million, that also would have to cover his production costs, his salary, the production of his show. He had to take that out of his salary. So he wasn't truly taking home $1 million per month, plus taxes and all that stuff. He was taking home probably closer to $500,000 a year after all is said and done per month, $500,000 per month. So the thing is, if he's already, as of now, making, let's say, $200,000 a month, which is probably realistic. He's probably making about $200,000 a month, and he has independence. Yeah, you could walk away from $1 million per month. Absolutely. That's the thing. For me right now in my current situation, I'm not making a lot of money these days. So I would not walk away from $1 million because that's an insane offer. But if I was making $500,000 working on my own schedule, do I really need to make $1 million at that point? No, I'm in more control of my fate. So, we can't look at it as he walked away from $1 million. He doesn't need it. He's already a very wealthy man.
I was painstakingly clear in taking myself off the table because it wasn't going to be a right fit. That happens in business all the time. But that we weren't talking about me. We were talking about the futures of other people who could potentially be in that position, that very disconcerting position. No miscommunication. What I'm talking about is you're describing a model for everyone, not just, let's get rid of me here. Everyone, if there's a penalty for being demonetized on YouTube, because your business model requires that be a huge component of it, you need to change your business model or this movement cannot work, Jeremy. I can't imagine my show trying to come up and be beholden to YouTube advertiser guidelines, let alone, honestly, being beholden from a conservative entity with hard strikes, right, being removed, but let alone being advertiser friendly. We know how broad those guidelines are. They might as well just read, don't say anything offensive, and they change them at the drop of a hat.
I'm not suggesting that the guidelines aren't terrible. I'm suggesting that if making money off of those platforms is part of how you're justifying the salary you're paying someone.
Yeah, this is tough because I see it from both perspectives here. From the business side of Daily Wire, if one of your creators says or does something that hinders an income stream, then as a business decision, maybe they should not be entitled to the same salary if their income stream is getting cut off for the company, right? On the flip side, the YouTube community guidelines are so nebulous and changing, and they just go back. Like, for example, I have a fellow YouTuber I know. They just gave a strike for a video from 2 years ago, last week. So they're going back and digging up. And I have a strike on my account, which actually expires the 23rd. So what I predict, shit. Sorry, I got to switch cameras. What I predict, guys, is once my strike expires, YouTube has a history of hold on, guys. We're testing this out. Test. All right, cool. We're back. So what can you guys hear me now? Test. Hello. Can you guys hear me? All right, we're back. We're back, baby. We're back. So basically, the reason why they do it this way is because by keeping a strike always on your channel, like constantly there, it keeps you in line because you're scared to get a second strike, right? Because once you get a second strike, so the first strike is you can't post for a week. The second strike is you can't post for 2 weeks. And if you get a third strike, you're banned from the platform permanently. They don't even want you coming back, opening a new account under a new name. Like, you're done. So strikes are very scary. And YouTube, they know that. I just have a friend, Cafecito Break. Shout out to them. They just got their second strike. So what you have to do is once you get a strike, you have to wait 90 days for that strike to drop off of your account. So let's say you get a strike, 90 days go by, you go back to 0, you get a strike, then you're back at 1 again. If you could have 2 strikes after 90 days after the second strike, you're back to 0 again. So they do refresh. That's why people like Paint the Trump have survived on YouTube despite having about a total of, I think he told me he had like 22 strikes so far, because he keeps getting a strike and then the clock resets and he'll get another strike. And again, I've had a strike on my account for the past year straight. They always find a reason to just give me a strike for something. So I'm waiting for the 23rd to see what happens if they're going to, strike my channel again, which is horrible. All right, let's get back to the video.
To others to verify without hopefully having to release the whole thing. And I'll be on Tim Pool's show, I believe, on Monday to talk about it. Now, this is something else that's been brought to my attention. Look, some people have been sent out from Daily Wire and have gotten very personal. Obviously, when we released this video, we didn't name names, and I told you there are a lot of people in the space who have made offers, and it is true. There are quite a few.
Oh, and I'm surprised no one's pointed out my my Hillary 2024 shirt, but this is obviously being worn facetiously, and I'm hoping that the algorithm on YouTube has some kind of like way to read letters and words on the screen. So maybe we'll confuse the AI. They'll think of some kind of a Mexican brown skin leftist who supports Hillary Clinton for 2024. And then maybe they'll give me more views and take the shadow ban off. So, don't think that I switch sides, guys. I'm wearing this shirt facetiously.
And there are some others that have been pretty similar to this. This isn't an incredibly unique scenario, but there have been some good people out there too. And we're still talking with them. So I do know that some people from Daily Wire have come out, maybe been instructed to. I have no idea. I don't care. And they've gotten very personal. I don't want to do that. At least I didn't want to. But now it's sort of necessary for me to do so. So these are the only personal things I will say about the people at Daily Wire. Andrew Klavan is one of my favorite people of all time. He has an unbelievable skill to make you feel like the smartest guy in the room, even though I guarantee you he's smarter than you. There are very few people whose company I enjoy more than Andrew Klavan. Jordan Peterson is not only a friend, I would go to the wall for him. He's a guy who has changed the landscape of our country for the better. Can't say enough good.
Jordan Peterson to me reminds me of Andrew Tate in that they both are trying to encourage men to be better, to be more masculine, except Jordan Peterson is a lot more tactful. And he's an actual doctor of psychology. And, he brings psychology into his advice for men. I think Andrew Tate is more of a dirty-mouthed guy who promotes traditional masculinity. Both men are threats to the establishment because they're helping to strengthen young men. And we all know that governments, especially our government here in the U.S., they want young men to be very weak-minded, docile, go along with the flow. They want them to be feminized, trans. So people like Andrew Tate and Jordan Peterson, who are influential and highly shared within that demographic, are a threat to the establishment.
Things about him. Ben Shapiro is possibly the smartest person I know. That's as personal as I'll get. Now, here's the thing. Only after that final call, after negotiations had followed through, pleading on the side of principle and knowing that it was completely met with deaf ears, did I come out like I did? See, here's the thing. They keep talking about a business. Well, I walked away from the table because I'm talking about a country, about a movement. And this is the thing. The response that I've heard over the years is not just now. I've been doing this for a long time. You constantly hear, it's just business. It's just business. Well, guess what? It's not to me. Sure, I run a business, but it's not just business. And let me ask you, when have you ever heard someone say it's just business when they're doing the right thing? Ever hear someone give $250,000 to charity and say it's just business? And here's something that I would like to ask you, because I know that they've tried to play the identity politics and misrepresent the whole financial situation. But yeah, over the course of 4 or 5 years, the total operational budget, meaning 25, 30 employees, all of the costs, security, health insurance, would have been somewhere in the $50 million ballpark for that total operational budget. That is true. Okay. First off, I think it's a good thing for conservative companies out there to be generating or capable of generating far more than that. It'd be better than just Disney and just Netflix and just Hulu Plus. And I'd like the people who are in charge of that to be people who are willing to walk away from that if it comes with strings attached, with people who hate everything you stand for. So let's take that at face value, okay? I want you to ask yourself this question, okay? Put yourself in my shoes. What would it take? How much do your principles matter to you? What kind of a headspace would you have to be in to walk away full stop from $50 million? Let me ask you even further. What would it take for you to be willing to walk away from at least $50 million because of it causing harm to someone else that doesn't even affect you, but the next kid? I've talked about this, you have it in comedy. I'm never going to be the guy who pulls the ladder up after me. What motivates me is not money. Of course, everyone here likes nice things. They want to make a living. You've heard me say this many times. I want to pass the torch. I want there to be someone else to do this. It can't happen if this is how our movement is structured. And you know that, by the way, this could do irreparable damage to the movement, the country, and the people who've fought so hard for the ground gained if we've decided to get in bed with these people who want to strip it away. I'm asking, would you walk away? What would it take for you to walk away from $50 million? Because it's true. That's exactly what I did. It's exactly what I'm doing. And so long as these contracts out there include enforcement of big tech, of punishing conservative creators on behalf of
that's the thing that he's talking about, as creators is, and we spoke about this a little earlier, we're not in control of whether or not we get strikes. You could toe the line as much as you can with the community guidelines, and YouTube will still find a way to give you a strike. And that's, I think, where Steven Crowder is coming from, is why should he be penalized when YouTube literally targets us? Literally. And then there's also these liberal mobs who come on, the bot attacks, and they do mass reporting of our accounts all the time. It's something else that we face, and so that's the thing, is why should there be a punishment or penalty in the contract for something that we cannot control? And that's one of the points that I do agree with Steven Crowder on. But that's why he's built up his Rumble. During election night, I think this midterm, he had like 500,000 viewers or something on Rumble, which is insane. I mean, Rumble is such a vastly smaller platform than YouTube. Plus, on Rumble, it's not connected to Google. So Google suppresses Rumble in the results. Google promotes YouTube because they're all the same company. So to have that many viewers on Rumble is absolutely insane. I mean, when Trump does his rallies on Rumble, he sometimes gets 250,000 live viewers, which is, for Rumble, that's insane. On YouTube, he used to get like 1 million because that was like, it's YouTube, it's connected to Google. That's how people find out about stuff. Speaking of, make sure you guys are following me on Rumble, and also follow me on Twitter as well. I'm almost at 1,000 subscribers on Twitter, so I can't wait to have that 1K mark.
The people we claim to fight and the people who have long since demonetized us and can't stand me, and part of me doesn't blame them. As long as these contracts include that, not even for me, but the next person, I wouldn't take $1 billion. And certainly not if you understand in context, when behind closed doors, I know, and these people know, and acknowledge exactly what's being done to the next generation of creators.
Bench talent, young talent, they don't get deals like this.
So they don't get deals that...
They can be wage slaves for a little bit, come over and make a salary and grow their brand.
That you then own.
Well, I own parts of it. I don't own it. They can, when their contract's up, they can still go out and they'll still be famous. They can keep doing their shows, so go do a show somewhere else. They'll be in a far, far, far better place. You helped make them.
No, not long as this contract. This contract owns it in perpetuity.
See, the thing is, Steven Crowder doesn't need Daily Wire He's got 6 million subs already. He's the biggest solo content creator. He dwarfs Ben Shapiro on his own. You know, he dwarfs Ben Shapiro. He dwarfs Tim Pool. Steven Crowder is the number one in the conservative YouTube space by far. He doesn't need him. He doesn't need him at all. I need him. I would love to be working for Daily Wire or Steven Crowder, you know, because then I would have a much bigger platform. It would catapult my content. It would catapult my name. Because right now I'm fighting as this solo independent creator in my living room. You know, I'm lucky I have a living room now. Before I was living out of hotels and Airbnbs and, you know, in someone's garage. So now I'm in my own living room doing the show. But a lot of these creators, when you work for Daily Wire, you have a studio, you have a production team, you have makeup artists, you have lighting, you have everything professional. You don't have technical glitches like I have, right? This is a one-man show. If you guys saw my setup, it's makeshift, you know? I would love to have $1 million for 4-year offer. I would 100% take that, you know? And I'm not saying that I do this for that end goal. It's not the end goal for me. My goal on YouTube is just to share my life with you guys. And hopefully, you know, enough of you guys like it. And, you know, I make some income from it. And I'd like to do this full time. I mean, that would be the dream, but I don't have like a magic number in my head.
Even after the contract, you're paying a lease but getting ownership. That's what this contract is.
On the content that we paid to.
Hope, I don't think it's necessarily a sellout, to be honest, because, for example, if you guys like my content and I'm only getting, let's say, 1,000 views a video, which is about accurate because of the shadow bans, if I go to Daily Wire and I can get my views out and get 100,000 views, that helps everybody. That helps me. That helps the message. You know, and I think if you look at all these companies, there's really no Latino content creators there. If you think about it, I'm trying to think if there's that many, like big ones. There's definitely a Black, Candace Owens. There's definitely Filipino, Savannah Hernandez. I don't know if there's a Mexican one though. Let me know in the comments if there's like if you guys could think of a Mexican one. But I feel like there's a gap there. It would be good to have a Latino, you know, kind of, I guess, conservative sounding, you know, voice for one of these big channels. I don't think it's necessarily selling out. I think if I was making $1 million a year right now, then I'd say that that's selling out because you don't need that kind of, you don't need to make 2 million if you're already making $1 million. You don't need it. That to me would be selling out. But someone in my position, I don't know if that would be considered sellout because I'm so small right now anyway.
Produce, yes.
You know, look, I understand there are going to be differing opinions on this. I understand that. As someone who does run a business and has I think maybe 25 employees, I don't know, we're expanding. I understand people run businesses differently and have different priorities. Here's the thing. I would genuinely still, Daily Wire, Jeremy, love to sit down at the table and explain to you how you can make all of this work. How you can scale what we do and not have to be beholden to the people who we all go out and claim that we're fighting, and especially with all of the financial resources.
I think Daily Wire already has about 900,000 subscribers per month paying through their Daily Wire platform. And I don't know how much those subscriptions are, but I would imagine that that's a really healthy revenue stream, probably 8 figures a month, you know, at least $10 million per month. If it's $20 subscription, that's about 20 million. That's $18 million a month. So Daily Wire does have their version of the Mug Club, and that offers these companies a lot of insurance, right? So if YouTube demonetizes them, which a lot of my videos, guys, do get demonetized. And, you know, if I'm supposed to get paid $10 per 1,000 views and I get demonetized, they won't even give me the $10. They just won't run ads on my content, which happens all the time.
That you have, which, by the way, are very impressive. And by the way, since fielding requests for people who've sent this in who you guys are under these kinds of contracts, right? You've sent in your emails. If you're looking to either join a network or looking to navigate these contracts, we've been flooded. I'm going to try and get to all of you. But here's the thing. Let me give you my word right now. My word. Everyone, you can timestamp it, call me on it. Here at Mug Club, we will never take any ownership over your social media platforms or your channels. And I don't want a dime ever of your YouTube revenue. You make your own decision as to whether you want to be monetized or not. Some people want to, some people don't. I just have a problem with requiring that you do and penalizing you if you don't. And to Daily Wire, to the rest of the people out there, give me a call. And look, let me put it this way. If you give me your word, this is all that matters here. Just give me your word that there will never be a clause in a contract again for some unsuspecting kid or someone who doesn't have the luxury to walk away from $50 million, as I did, true, guilty as charged. Give me your word that you will not penalize them 25% for demonetization, another 20% for a strike, another 20% for Facebook, Spotify, Apple, up to 80%. Just give me your word that that clause, that spirit will not be in any contract sent out to anyone else who's at the front lines fighting for this country, and we're done. All of this stops right now. You will never hear from me again. I will go out and sing your praises. You can pick up the phone. You have my word. That's all it is. That's all this is about. In the interim, to everyone else, stopbigcon.com. Be a signatory. I'll see you Monday. Tim Pool.
Stopbigcon.com. Let's go check out this website. I haven't seen it yet. Let me pull in the screen, guys. And thanks, guys, for joining me right now tonight on 9:44 p.m. Let's go to the Big Con. Stopbigcon.com. What this is about, this website. Stopbigcon.com. Here we go. Stop Big Con. Stay in the Mud Club. So this is just an email address. That's all this is. It's just sent to your email and then click sign me up. So I don't know if you guys want to sign up for him to support his Stop Big Con, but there it is for you. You know, I see where he's coming from with the contract problems. It's very touchy for him, the demonetization and the strike system, because he's been a victim of it like crazy to YouTube's guidelines, just as much as I have, you know, Paint the Trump has. I have so many people I know whose accounts on YouTube has been completely nuked from oblivion. And, you know, what's crazy now is YouTube used to allow a lot of these predator poacher channels where people would expose, you know, PDF files, you know, where they would catch them in stores trying to meet up with kids. And it was great. There was this whole list of all these different channels. And a few of them that I like are Puggy Pug, Skeeter Gene, People vs. Preds, Protect the Innocent. These are some of the companies. Predator Poachers, Toronto, Colorado Pet Patrol. A lot of amazing channels, amazing work. These people are keeping criminals, you know, off from talking to and or touching young children in our community. So a lot of respect for what these people are doing. But YouTube recently came out and altered their policies, saying that you can't harass people on camera. So they ended up nuking a lot of these channels from orbit. So it comes off as they're trying to protect PDF files. You know, you should allow, in my opinion, I think the public exposure, not doxing. Doxing is different. Okay, I'm not saying give addresses and phone numbers and all that stuff, but exposing someone's face in public. If you're making plans on Grindr or whatever to meet with a 10-year-old, a 12-year-old, and you're trying to meet with them in public, right, at a supermarket, you're allowed to be filmed at that supermarket in public, and that video is allowed to be posted on the internet. And whether or not people, you know, use detective skills to piece together who you are, that's up to the internet. That's the Wild West of the internet. That's kind of the beauty of it, right? I'm not saying that the creators that are filming should call out their name, phone number, address. No, that's called doxing. You can't do that. But you're allowed to share videos of people being exposed. And then it just seemed like YouTube changed their guidelines, and it just seems like, all right, you're protecting these PDF files because now YouTube, the biggest reach, these videos are less likely to exist. And so those people are less exposed, less likely to be exposed. One of my favorite channels is People vs. Preds, and he got kicked off of YouTube after about 150 episodes. Now he's on Odyssey, he's on Rumble, and I just paid him $6 a month for his content because I want to support his work. He's keeping PDF files off the street. So you look at his videos on Odyssey, 300 views. You look at his videos on Rumble, 3,000 views. Those aren't bad numbers, but on YouTube, he was getting 150,000 views. So what does that mean? That's 147,000 less people that are seeing the faces of predators that may or may not live in their community. I think it's very helpful to a parent to know who the predators are. There are a lot of predators that have records, and you can look them up and you can find out where they live, right? Oh, my neighbors. You can see if your neighbors are bad people. But there are a lot of predators that don't have a record, that haven't been arrested. And that's why these predator poacher channels are so powerful, because they catch a lot of these predators before they actually commit the crime. They actually prevent the crime because they show up instead of a kid. So my point is, all these channels were allowed to be on YouTube for years. And it was an amazing set of channels. And now a lot of them got kicked off. It is bullshit. It's the guidelines. They just change, and then you're beholden to it. For example, after the 2020 election, which, by the way, there was no evidence of any fraud. Okay, I want to be very clear about this, guys. No evidence of any fraud. After the election in 2020, in November to December, a lot of us were making a lot of videos asking questions. Then January of 2020 came, right after the January 6th, and YouTube changed all their guidelines, saying you can't question it, you can't talk about it, you can't bring up anything, right? They then went back to videos prior to their new guidelines in January 2020. They went back to videos, 2021, sorry. They went back to videos prior to January 2021, to December 2020, November 2020, before the guidelines ever existed, and started retroactively giving out strikes for misinformation, election misinformation. And they did that to me a few times. And every time I had to explain to them, this video was posted before your guidelines existed, but I'm happy to delete it now that they exist. And a lot of times they would actually reverse those strikes because I had a good point. But that's the nebulous nature of the YouTube platform and the guidelines. They are in full control. And you know what? They are a privately owned company. They are allowed to be in full control. They are allowed to do whatever they want. We all know that. The only problem is, as I've said before, is if the government is giving them guidance what to delete. If the government's giving them guidance to delete, not cool, because that blurs the lines between state and private company. That's actually fascism. That's fascism, which is what the left loves, because the lefts are the real fascists, right? We don't want to control speech on our side. We want people to have self-accountability. We don't want to control speech. That's fascist. That's what they do. So that's my thing about why I kind of agree with Steven Crowder on the whole being punished for demonetization. It's just really frustrating to put that on the penalty on the content creator. This is why they're protecting the. I mean, that's I don't know. That's a theory. That's a theory out there. It seems that way. It certainly seems that way. I watched two channels that put a lot of work into catches these predators, and they took off. It's bad. Yeah, that's the thing. They've been taken off. I mean, even Shaney Rich. You guys know Shaney Rich? He's a great little YouTube kid. He's awesome. He had 100,000 subs, and he was really growing his channel big. This is Shaney Rich. For those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, this is Shaney Rich right here. This kid. So that's what he does. He goes on the street and poses a question to people, this or that. He'll say protect feminist rights or low gas prices. He'll ask funny questions, and he gets funny answers from people on the street. It's not hateful. But obviously he's leading people into a certain answer, by typically interviewing conservatives. He knows the answers they're going to give, kind of. I mean, pretty much, if I know if someone's Republican or Democrat, I know the answer they're going to give. So he cues it up. It's all queued up, and it's wonderful content. It really was. And YouTube nuked him for severe violations of, I guess, I don't even know, a policy. It just said severe violations of our policy. Which ones? They didn't say if it was harassment. They didn't say what it was. But, it's just so it's interesting to me that he basically, you can make an argument that he's making fun of trans people in his videos. He's not. The people he interviews are. You can make that argument. But what percentage are trans in society? I think 0.1, 0.2, or 0.3, something like that. Really small. 3 people in 1,000 are like trans in America, something like that. But it is growing. It is growing. I just don't get how a group so small can be so protected, where you take away the free speech of the 99.7%. It's so bizarre to me. It's so bizarre. Like, I have kidney failure. We all know that. And I got people in my comments, some scumbags. Really, these people are just disgusting people who make fun of my disease, right? They have nicknames. One guy calls me kidney beans. I mean, he's obviously a piece of shit and has no life. And, I'm not saying karma's a thing, but when you make fun of somebody's disability, you're a piece of shit. Like, if I met a Biden voter who had cancer, I wouldn't be like, yo, hey, cancer boy. I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't be like, how's your bald head today? Like, I wouldn't say that. That's so fucked up, especially because people in my family have had cancer. My mom died of cancer. I saw what it's like to have someone die from chemo, so I know. So I personally would never, ever make fun of someone's disease or disability. That to me is like so off limits. That's beyond off limits. You want to make fun of my nose? That to me is still, an ad hominem attack. It's still too personal, because I don't know what these people look like, so it's unfair. Odds are these people that are insulting me, they don't have channels, they don't have pictures, they don't have videos. They're probably less attractive than me. They're probably less muscular than me. They probably have less money than me. They're probably less built than me. They're probably just shitty people across the board in every single metric possible, which is why they don't have profiles, names, or YouTube channels. They just comment negatively people. But my point is like, you can't make fun of someone's disability just because you disagree with them. Like, I would not do that about a Biden voter. I would keep it strictly to the policies of Joe Biden and their maybe lack of knowledge on certain issues. That's what I would do. That's what I would do. But I would not be making fun of someone's disability. T. Hilly, there's a big difference. There's a big difference about Joe Biden potentially having dementia or not. The difference is, we don't know. It's not like he came out and said, I've been diagnosed with Alzheimer's or dementia. If he did, you know what would happen? So many conservatives who made the joke would be like, you know what? We were joking around. We're unfortunate to hear that happened, that he actually does have it. We're not going to make the jokes anymore now that we know that he has it. It's a big difference between when you know versus when you are just making light of somebody. It's a big difference. We don't know if he has disability. He's never come out and said it. And if he does, he should not be president, in my opinion. There are rumors that he gets loaded up with, drugs to get up on stage and have energy and be able to make it through a speech. I have no idea. I'm not there with him. I'm just a guy in a living room in Tampa, Florida. I have no idea. But we do not know if he has a disability or not. I would expect he doesn't, because he's the president, and these people have to get they have to get screened, and they have doctors, and they have to get a clean bill of health. So I would argue he doesn't have a disability because of that reason. Even though we might see it and we might think he does, and we might think he's lying to us. We don't know. But if he did have actual dementia, we would say he should be president. He has dementia. That's a fact. Just as with me and my kidney disease, I should not be president either of a country, because my health can be, can take a turn at any point. I'm not 100% physically able right now to. I would want to step down if I was a leader and I got diagnosed with a very bad illness. I'd be like, I'm not healthy enough to do this job. You need somebody super healthy in these type of positions. So, Trump got a very clean bill of health. You can tell a big difference between Trump and Biden. I mean, Trump does hour and a half rallies, doesn't have a teleprompter, wings it, super sharp, super funny. Joe Biden cannot do a speech anymore. without a teleprompter. And even with the teleprompter, he can't read it. End the line. Is that what he said? He said something. He like read it. I don't know. I've told you this all the time. I don't know much about politics prior to Donald Trump 2020. So when you ask questions about people like FDR, I have no fucking idea. I wasn't alive. I don't really care because it doesn't affect my life. What I care about is current events and social issues. Back then, 3-term president was allowed because of whatever loopholes existed. It's the same reason Trump was able to avoid paying a lot of taxes. He follows the law and finds the loopholes, which is legal. That's what the rich people are good at. I hold nothing against him. They changed it after FDR, from what I understand. They changed it so that you can only have 2 terms. So I don't know anything about FDR. I don't know his policies. I don't know who he was. I don't know nothing about him. And I don't really care. I wasn't alive. I care mostly about 2020 and on, the life that I've lived in terms of my political lifetime. My political lifetime started in 2019. That's when it started for me. Really, it started around like the Charlottesville hoax, when Trump called neo-Nazis very fine people. That's when my political awakening started. So if you want to talk to me about things that happened then on, let's go. But I'm not a historian, and I never claimed to be. Polio was a very interesting disease. You guys should definitely look into it. Even on Wikipedia, it's very interesting because it's not what I thought. It's not what I thought. I again, I'm on a machine 9.5 hours every night. I am not in a position to be a president due to my disability and my condition. If Joe Biden truly has dementia, he is not in a position to be a president. If someone there's certain disabilities that people might have, like cancer, for example. You have cancer. It's so time consuming and it's so debilitating, these diseases, that you should not be president of a country. You should step down and allow somebody healthy that can focus 99.9% of the day on the job at hand. So that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying that they should be ignored for a job. It depends on the disability, it depends on the time, it depends on the health level. I know for my disease, I would not be able to be a president. If it was something like autism, maybe a learning disability of some sort, that could be overcome. That can be overcome in a different way because it's not as quote unquote time consuming. By the time you're 60 or 70, hopefully you have a handle on, your disability and you have a grip on it. But me, I don't have a choice. I'm on a machine 9.5 hours every night and I have to sleep half the day. So that's why my disability, I think, would impede me from being a president. Mitchell, it is Trump 2024, obviously. It is Trump 2024. T. Hilly, I'm not going to talk to anymore about your comments because I can't fairly respond to them on YouTube. I can't fairly respond to this on YouTube. So I'm not going to respond to your comments anymore about this. Yeah, I don't know much about FDR. That's why I'm not trashing him. I just don't know much about him. But anyway, guys, I thought that was interesting to see Steven Crowder's response from Daily Wire's perspective as a business who's there to make money and promote conservative values. I get his perspective entirely. And from Steven Crowder's perspective as a content creator who does not want to be beholden to the YouTube community guidelines and then be penalized for it, I get his perspective. So I don't have a side between the two. I think the whole conversation is interesting. I'm excited to see Steven Crowder on Tim Pool on Monday. And apparently Candace Owens is on Tim Pool tonight. So for the 41 of you watching right now, I appreciate you guys being here and not being there. It's great to be part of my channel. I have not tried to become part of Team Trump. Maybe 2024, but here's the thing. I feel like I already volunteer for Trump with the stuff that I do on my channel. I feel like I'm already a volunteer for him and I could keep doing this. I don't like being like a wage slave. But if the offer was good enough, then I would definitely do it. If all Trump offered me was the chance to volunteer for his campaign, I feel like I'm already doing that now. And now I have the freedom because I could wake up and decide when I want to go on and do things. As long as I could do that, then yeah, I would probably do it for him. If it's like, yeah, you could choose your own hours and volunteer for me, then I'd probably do it. But it's really important to me to just have that freedom given my disability and my disease. Like there are some days that I wake up and I just don't want to do shit because I can't. T. Hilly, I don't think you understand. I literally cannot give you my POV because of the terms and conditions on YouTube. That's all I'm going to say, and I'm going to leave it at that. And if you don't believe me, I don't give a shit. You can leave my channel and you can delete yourself and never come back and watch me again. And that'd be fine with me. I really don't care. You know, one less subscriber doesn't really bother me at this point. That's the thing. I would need my own hours. That's the thing. I need to a degree. But I would love to get to Mar-a-Lago at some point. Take a selfie in Mar-a-Lago with President Trump. That would be pretty awesome. So anyway, guys, T. Hilly's raging right now. Calm down, bro. It's not that big of a deal. You can actually go to Google yourself, YouTube community guidelines, election misinformation, and see how handicapped we are when it comes to talking about the election. You can look it up yourself. Just Google community guidelines, election misinformation. I didn't say end yourself. I said you're triggered. Where are you hearing words? I never said end yourself. That's not even something I would say. If I'd say anything like that, I'd say get boosted. I don't say end yourself. I just said, are you triggered? You're going insane right now on my page. And if you want to leave my channel forever, you can. I don't care. Thank you so much, Nikki. I appreciate you. I appreciate your positivity offsetting his negativity. Devil Dolphin here says the VA under Trump was worse. I'm a combat veteran and VA social worker. What exactly does that mean? Can you give me some context to that? I'd love to know what you are referring to in terms of why is it better or worse. You know, Devil Dolphin, if you want to come on my stream right now and talk, you can. Here, I'm going to make my link public. Devil Dolphin, click it, turn on your webcam, and let's go. There you go. Literally anybody can join my stream right now. I just shared the link publicly. Anybody can join my stream right now. If you copy paste that into your browser and you have your webcam turned on, you'll be able to enter my stream. Come on, this will be fun. Devil Dolphin, come on my stream. Devil Dolphin, enter the stream. Devil Dolphin, copy paste that link and turn on your webcam. It takes 2 seconds to enter my stream. Let's talk about it. Come on. Liverpool says that I've been his inspiration to go to the gym. Yeah, I'm going after this stream. I'm going to be going to the gym. Thank you so much, Blue Eyes. God bless Trump. God bless Trump. Oh, man, I love that man. I really do. I really felt so bad what he's been through. So back to Devil Dolphin. Devil Dolphin, turn your webcam on and jump onto my stream. I'd really like to have a conversation. This is not a debate. It's just literally just question and answer. And if anybody wants to join, come on. There's 54 of you. One person should join my live stream. We could just have a quick chat. T. Hilly, why don't you turn your camera on and come on. Come on, T. Hilly, put your camera on. You can debate me for a few minutes. Isn't this the moment you always wanted? You, Renzo, Nick, I think you guys always wanted to come on my stream and debate me, so here we go. Go ahead. You can make me look stupid if you want. That's the only thing is I risk, obviously, getting a strike if they say anything out of line. But I would have to just offer a lot of countervailing views and make sure that YouTube hears me say those countervailing views. Like you could talk about the election 2020, and you could talk about some of the rumors from the right if you offer countervailing views. Oh, T. Hilly's on. All right, guys, here we go. Your lighting is shit, man.
Hello. It's okay. I'm only here for a couple of minutes, right?
Yeah. How you doing?
So, yeah, no problem. So you say that based on handicap, somebody can't be like elected official, like president?
I don't think somebody who has a disability like I do, that takes up 14 hours a day of treatment, should
No, that's not what I'm
be.
asking.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm trying to say. Is it depends on the time needed to invest into that disability. So cancer treatments, for example, if you have chemo, are extremely aggressive. There are a lot of side effects. That person, I don't think, should be president if they're facing cancer treatments. Just as me going through kidney treatments, I should not be president right now. It
What
depends.
don't you think that should be up to like the people, the American people, to decide like who they want to be president, regardless
No,
of like their handicaps?
I think it comes down to individual responsibility. So if I got elected into office, let's say, for example, let's use George Santos, who's not even it's not even a disability case, but George Santos, he got elected into office, the Republican guy from New York. Turns out a lot of his claims were lies, and he got
Mhm.
elected based on those lies. I think he has a personal responsibility to step down, even though he was elected by the people into office. He needs to take it upon himself, look in the mirror, and say, I lied to my constituents. I falsely represented myself. I won because of those lies. I should not do this job. I'm out. That
Well,
would
that's
be
because he did something immoral. He lied. We're not talking about anything more. We're just saying this person has a handicap, but they decided they wanted to be elected official. So they did all the stuff, they lobbied, they got support, and they got the people to vote for them, regardless of the handicap. Even if they have like these issues in office, which is like that's like totally up to the people to decide, like when they vote on him, like this is something that the American people in a democracy, we all agree that we all should have like the ability to make decisions on our own. And if that's true, and we live in a democracy or a republic or constitutional republic or however you say it, that we have the people decide on like what these decisions in their lives should be. Like we should give the people the right to decide. Like this guy, he might not have working legs. This guy, he might have to do dialysis like every other week.
working
They should
leg
have the
is
decision to like make that decision. No, in a
right.
democracy, right?
So let me give you another example. For example, let's take a woman who takes a job and she's working 50, 60 hours a week. She gets pregnant, she gives birth to the baby. Now she's struggling between her job and then being the primary caretaker at home. So what happens is eventually she says, you know what, to her boss, I want to spend more time with my kid at home. I can't work 60 hours a week. I can't do this job's responsibilities because I have another commitment. She quits her job. She moves on and becomes a mom and takes care of the kid full time. That's the kind of analogy I'm using here. I'm not saying whether or not the person is capable of the job. They don't have the brain for it. I'm not talking about that. What I'm saying is if I ran as Adam Francisco last year for office and I got elected by the people and then
Mhm.
I get kidney failure while I'm in office and I
And you
find
die.
and then I get it and I find I'm on my machine 10 hours a night and I find that I'm sleeping half the day and I find that I'm missing meetings and I find that I'm just forgetting things and I'm just too tired, then I personally would say, you know what? I can no longer do this job for my people, even though I was voted in, because the disease is zapping all of my time and energy. I have a responsibility to step down and give it to somebody, in my opinion, who's healthy. That's what I'm saying. I'm not
But
saying
you
somebody
you
disabled can't take the
understand
job.
that there are processes in the American system where the American people can say, hey, Congress, I'll give you can say, hey, this person, the president, is no longer fit for service. I know there was a lot of talk of that. Like when Trump, the end of his terms, there was Trump, like talk of like, is he, fit for service? There's talk of the Republicans, my side, is Biden fit for service? We do article something, something like 23, is it or something? So there's processes in the American system to get rid of somebody who is handicapped. So like what I'm saying is like, how can you say that it's fair to restrict somebody based on a handicap when there are systems in place to remove somebody based on handicap? Like I just can't wrap my head around it.
So here's the
Like
thing is, and what I'm talking about is, and the whole time I've said, I never said once that I should be removed by other people because of my disability. I said I should take it upon
well,
myself.
that's great that you want to, but
That's what
sometimes
I'm
there's
saying.
going to be like some president who doesn't want to give up like
Well,
power.
well, that's the thing is I know my condition more than anyone else does. That's the reality, right? And that's
And
the
some
same.
people want to be like an elected official more than anything, like even more than like
But that's
their
the
condition.
situation. That's the situation we have here. We don't know what condition Joe Biden's really in. We have no idea because they won't tell us. Let's say just for argument's purpose, let's say this man really is dementia. Let's say The only time he's ever awake is when we see him on TV and he's full of narcotics and drugs and pumped up full of amphetamine so he could perform. Let's just say that that's the only time he's awake, and the only way he's able to function is being pumped up with drugs. Let's say that's all true. If we, the people, knew that and we saw what they were doing to the man to prop him up, we would vote him out of office in an instant. He'd be gone. He'd be gone. But they would never show that side to us. Instead, they hide, cover, protect, deflect. They do that for everybody, Republicans, Democrats. So
I don't know.
We do not have transparency.
You would have to show me like evidence of that, because that's a pretty big claim.
That's why I'm saying it's up to the individual who is disabled and spending 14 hours handicapped per day to be the one to decide I should step down. That's my argument.
Isn't that beautiful though? Like, isn't that beautiful how like you can make that decision because like you're an American and you have like the power of like a single vote? Like you can like decide on yourself, like whether or not you think this person is handicapped enough to be a president, or like he's good enough for it to slide on by. Like, isn't that super cool?
I mean, I guess to a degree. I mean, I do love the fact that we have the ability to vote for our politicians. I think it's great. But obviously, and I can't get into it because of terms and conditions. I think there are issues in this country that we need to address.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, easy.
T. Healy, where are you located?
California.
Oh man.
I'm from Michigan though, so
what part of
I
California?
don't know what that means. So you know how there's like Marine bases out in like the desert and shit where people train for like Iraq or used to? Yeah, close to there, out in the desert.
Oh, cool. Do you serve?
No, God no.
Yeah, I mean, I
skied back in Michigan, which was pretty fun.
Cool.
There's no good skiing places close to here. I need to find some. But anyways, yeah.
What's your name?
Mike.
Mike. Okay. What's your name?
Yeah.
T. Hilly. What's T. Hilly based off of?
Philly? Nothing.
Oh, you just made it up?
Yeah.
So, did you vote for Joe Biden in the last election?
No, I voted for Trump.
Did you really?
Yeah. So you want to hear why I don't support Republicans anymore?
Yeah. Let's get into it.
So let's see. Big picture. So Republicans, in my mind, started allying themselves with forces I felt were very destructive to what I wanted in my life. So I'm in like a interracial relationship with a Black girl, right? So I've seen. Do you know who Nick Fuentes is?
Of course.
You know what America First is, right?
Yeah.
And you know that they actually got like people like Marjorie Taylor Greene to show up.
Yeah, at the AFPAC.
Do you find that concerning as a Republican?
So let me talk about that whole movement from my understanding.
NTOS standards. I understand you're limited.
No, not this topic. I have a little more breathing room. So I think a lot of the things Nick Fuentes says is offensive. Some things he said. He's a very smart kid. Let's not forget that he's a very intelligent kid.
I would push you back on that. He's very rhetorically effective.
And that's intelligence. That's some form of intelligence.
It's a skill that you can acquire by repetition and practice. If you think that's intelligence,
by the way, Cheese is very good. Yes, I think he's an intelligent young man, and I also respect his level of influence. That he could show up to a city, and he could command a whole army of people to show up. I think that's amazing. I can't do that. He can, so he's doing something.
Well,
right.
I mean, like, basically any like social media influencer can do that, right? Like fucking like XQC can show up.
Like him.
No. I'll tell. Do you know the streamer Destiny?
No.
He showed up to the Georgia runoff election. He got 200 people to come knock houses in like 2 weekends. To knock houses. I'm not talking like show up to like hear people speak. I'm talking about work, like actual unpaid work to like influence elections. I think that's pretty big. And he only has like 600K followers. So like you saying that, yeah, he can pull like what 6K people to like an event. I mean, what's that?
he's been nuked off of every platform, except for the underground ones like Truth Social.
Yeah, so is all of his followers. So they just follow him to the platform. I mean, that's not like a real good point, though, right?
Here's the thing I don't like about his platform that I know of is
Sure.
they seem to be, they have some white supremacist views in that they want to keep America, they want to make America return to its quote unquote white Christian values.
Isn't it funny point?
And to
Isn't
me,
it super interesting how you watch his like events and you see like you that's true that he does that, but you see like the cultural diversity that he has like at the people coming to his events. Isn't that like super interesting?
Yeah, because I mean, I have a friend who's actually part of the movement, America First movement, and he's half Filipino, half white. So, they do have some people that, are people of color that are part of this America First, movement. And I hate that they call it America First because there are things I disagree with the way they do it. But I do agree with I do agree with America First as a platform.
It's kind of like they're kind of like co-opting like a really good slogan the MAGA people could have had.
Well, it's because Trump used it, and they get to align that way, and it muddies the water a little bit. Look, America is changing demographically, and it's going to continue to change more and more. I myself, being a Mexican American, I love being American. I have no problem with my skin color because I'm not a leftist, so I don't feel like I'm oppressed at all. I just think that some white people are scared. And so that's why they gravitate towards movements like people like Nick Fuentes. They kind of band together and they get to events.
Do you think their fear is well placed, or do you think sometimes their fear is overblown?
Well, America is getting less white. It is an absolute fact, and the Democrats are doing voter
on that
replacement.
point, some people would say that there are forces outside of their control that are forcing that upon them. And other people would say that's just the natural progression of our country. So I would say one is intentionally fear-mongering. Well, the other one is more factually based. So I'm asking you, do you feel like their messaging is more the fear-mongering, or is it more factually based?
So what you're saying is America becoming less white due to just natural progression versus intentional agenda?
By outside forces like
World
Economic Forum,
I think
Davos, Schwab.
I think it is a combination of both. I think it is happening naturally.
You think there are outside forces outside of our control?
I do. I do think that the Democrats, for example, want.
No. Democrats are within our control. We vote on Democrats. I'm talking like international forces.
Yes. Yeah. That I do think that exists. I do think that there are international forces. I mean, they tell us every day that there's an elite group of people that are, meeting together at these events that talk about the future of the world, and they call it things like the global bank. So yes, I do.
But isn't that all they're doing?
No, I mean, look, we don't know what they're.
Well, okay. Well, hold on, because that's their stated mission objective. That's all they do. That's all they say they do is they come together and they talk about future economic problems that they might face. Now, you're saying that they actually might be doing more than that. They might be actually influencing our politics behind the scenes without our knowledge.
It happens.
Well, hold on. That's a big claim, and that's going to require evidence. Now, if you could show me evidence of that, and what I mean by evidence of that, what would really convince me would be policy that they're passing in America that goes against the will of the majority of Americans.
Yeah, I mean, you could just look at the COVID. You could look at the whole COVID situation.
That had majority support. All of it.
No, but I'm saying it went against the benefits of the majority of the Americans, the lockdowns.
Not the benefits.
I don't want to talk about the vaccines. We can't talk about the vaccines.
We can talk about it in a whole meta. We don't have to talk about policy. We don't have to say words. We can talk about it in a whole meta conversation.
The lockdowns hurt
all Americans. The lockdowns were by the will of the people.
No, they weren't. No, they weren't.
Yes, they were. They were.
They hurt people.
I understand they hurt people in the long run, but at the time of their induction, they had full support from the communities, or at least majority. When I say full, I mean majority.
Mostly from the left. Most from the left.
Majority, no, Republicans too. Absolutely.
You're talking about early on the pandemic?
Right, yeah, when the policies
Yeah.
were implemented.
No,
Yeah.
you're right. Early on, everybody
Yeah.
by the will of the people did want to stay home. Correct. Early on.
Absolutely, yeah.
No,
Now,
I do
the
agree.
will of the people may have changed, but that's not what we're talking about. I'm talking about policy passed by the World Economic Forum, forces outside of the control of the American people that are influencing policy in America that goes against the will of the people. That would be evidence that would show me that the World Economic Forum is actually influencing America.
Well, me being a YouTuber in my living room in Tampa, I don't know if I could ever get you that evidence, as I am not connected to these people at all.
Well, that's the evidence. Do you think that evidence is do you think I'm asking for an unreasonable piece of evidence? A single thing of policy.
From
But
someone
like in general.
From someone in my position, yes, because I'm too far removed from these people. I'm a nobody. I'm a peon.
But hey, hold on. You're telling me you believe this though, and now you're telling me you don't have any evidence to believe it.
No, because this is where you might say that he's a conspiracy theorist.
Well, that's a huge problem. Then to explain to me, how do you figure out anything?
I mean, at this point, you're not going to be able to prove that it's not true, and I can't prove that it is true.
Well, I don't need to prove it's not true. You're making the claim. You have to provide the evidence, right?
Yeah, but so what's your claim? Your claim is that this is not happening?
I'm claiming that their stated mission goal is exactly what they're doing, no more, no less. That they're just rich people meeting like every couple of years to discuss potential economic problems of the future. That's it.
So you don't think they're doing other things behind the scenes, like trying to shift us to taking away our wealth, trying to make us eat bugs? You don't think they're trying to get us on all electric?
Nope. Because you would have to show me. You would have to show me policy that goes against the will of the American people.
But as it happens in real time, isn't it? There's some kind of policy that's pushing us in that direction. You know what I'm saying?
Well, that would be the will of the American people, and in a democracy, that's what I have to accept.
Right, but I'm just saying, like they could be doing things behind the scenes to push us in these directions, which is what they're doing. They're trying to bankrupt us. Their stated goal is by 2030 we're going to own nothing and be happy. That's their openly stated goal.
No, if you actually look at the context of that statement, you find that they're not actually like saying that. But that's you don't have like any evidence to show that they're actually pushing for policy in America that like does that.
I mean, look, printing $2 trillion, which we just printed out, is creating more inflation, which is making this all.
Trump printed so much money with his deficit spending, and it does nothing. People have been complaining about printing money for fucking 30 years. Oh, well, I'm sorry, you don't know anything past Trump. People have been complaining about us printing money for like 30 years and absolutly nothing.
Yeah, but I think in the last 2 years we printed 30% of all money.
And isn't that the same exact argument that the climate denialists used to like? I'm sorry, I'm going over that. It's like I just see these arguments everywhere. It's the same argument. It's inconsistencies bug the fuck out of me. Sorry.
Are you sure you're not a liberal?
I voted for Trump. Like I said, we went down this tangent. Like I was talking about America first and like why I don't vote for Republicans anymore.
So who are you planning on voting for in 2024?
Biden, if he runs again.
Really, you're just flipping from a Trump to Biden voter?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what are you happy about with this situation we're in this country?
He's getting all of his policy passed with a historically divided Congress. I mean, that's pretty base.
Which policies do you like?
Veterans bill, cancer bill, COVID relief bill, infrastructure bill. Yeah, was the SNAP benefits bill that helped the child poverty. Was that the COVID relief?
Yeah, but like, what does all this matter if
Ukraine war was excellent? Afghanistan pullout it was necessary.
But like, there are things that are happening in this country across the board, like inflation that affects
the border.
Every single
inflation.
one of us,
right? Yeah, of course.
That they have no control over. So it's like,
you want to talk about inflation?
Yeah, go ahead.
So my understanding of inflation was a combination of two major policies: the Trump COVID stimulus package and the Biden COVID stimulus package. And those were the big ones, right? Back to back, two big stimulus packages, right? You remember those?
Mm-hmm.
Those are two of the most historic spending packages in like American history, like wild spending from the government, right? causes a bit of inflation, a lot of inflation, people would say.
Yep.
And then you
But
remember all the Okay, go ahead, please.
no, I was just going to say that, while I do know that there was a lot of money printed during the Trump, inflation never went above 2% a year, even during 2020. It never went above.
Hmm. Yeah,
It was
because
always
of
it was
COVID,
always
right?
kept under control.
Because
But
remember what happened during COVID? Remember when everyone was in their houses not spending anything? All the consumer spending went from restaurants, like theaters, and it went to like Amazon packages, food, grocery outlets. Like I remember like all these small businesses being closed, but God fuck me, Stater Bros, Kroger's, Walmart was open, Amazon was fucking pumping, right? So COVID, right? You see in your graph about 2019, 2020, boom.
right, but what I'm saying
And
is
then
this little this dip right here. This is
mhm,
when did 2021 would be right over here. This is exactly 2021 January right here where my arrow is. I don't know if you guys see the arrow, but that's
yeah,
when
I see
it
it. I got you.
literally spiked once Joe Biden took office. It literally started going up the very day he took office. That's not an
Hmm.
accident. That's not an accident.
You
If it
think
was
Joe?
COVID,
Wait.
it would not have
So wait,
come up the exact first day that Joe Biden gets it. It went literally, and
when
the
you're
same thing with
saying
house
it's
prices.
not an accident, what are you implying when you're saying that? Are you saying that Joe Biden getting into office directly has an influence on inflation levels?
I think that it created a lot of fear in the
No,
world
no, no, no,
because
no, 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 not fear. You made a very specific claim. You said right at that, right when Joe Biden was elected, you said the inflation went up. What are you implying when you're saying that?
I'm saying that it happened to go up the exact same day, just like gas prices went up the exact. So if you look at the gas prices chart, right, you see that January
Why are
6th,
you why are
January
you
20th, I'm
telling me
sorry,
that Joe Biden got elected that day? Like, why does that matter?
because it's just hilarious that if you look at the first day he comes in office, inflation starts to spike immediately. Gas prices start to spike immediately. They were all stable for all Trump's 4 years, gas prices and inflation, even with
Okay,
COVID,
okay.
even with the
So
pandemic,
you're
even with all
saying
the
that
spending.
fear caused people to what?
People were scared when Joe Biden became president. People were
So
scared when Joe Biden became
so
president.
you're telling me Joe Biden became president and then what? One day after that,
Yeah,
inflation
that's what I'm
increase? Is
saying.
that what you're claiming?
That's pretty
So
much what
now
I'm
that's a
saying.
huge claim. Now, can you show me evidence of that being actually the truth?
I'm just looking at all the data, man. I'm looking at all the data. I'm looking
No,
at all
no,
the
no.
charts,
You
and
just
there's
looked
no
at a
such thing as
graph. You told me
coincidences.
this is the date that Biden got elected, and then you conflated that to inflation increasing. Now you need to show me proof of that conflation.
Here, let's go. This is my other chart that I just pulled up. I'd love to have
No,
more
don't
time to
pull
do
me
more
up a chart.
research.
Show me. Show me the data.
Well, when you say show me, this is
Oh, but
showing you.
okay, hold
So
me.
as you can see, once again here, where did it come
And you're
from?
making these claims. It makes
Right over here. So if you pull down, look at that chart, just a straight shot line up. Once Joe Biden took office, everything went to shit. Because as Trump says, everything woke turns to shit, and Joe Biden is very woke. Did we lose him? Hello, hello, hello. Mic check, mic check. Can you guys hear me? The bridge, there's the link. You can come in if you want. Anybody can come in. My stream is open right now. Anybody can come in and tag it if they want. And it's so interesting because when Joe Biden took office, gas prices went up immediately, right? I mean, we could see it on the chart right here. Right over here is where it just starts spiking up. And at that time, there was no Ukraine war. But a lot of times, like when it came to gas prices, people just knew. People just knew what was going to happen under Joe Biden presidency. So CPI, let's see CPI. What's CPI? This one is only through 2020. Consumer Price Index. Man, it was going down under Trump. It looked really nice. and then it just skyrocketed up. Let's look at the stock market. Stock market. Let's see. Stock market chart. Is no, that these are individual stocks. Let's see, last 10 years. Let's see what we got here, guys. Are any of these good? Dow Jones. I don't know if this is going to pull in this year because we've seen a big tank in the market. Yeah, these charts aren't very good. Let's see, NASDAQ. NASDAQ index. Let's see what comes up here. NASDAQ index. Oh, we got some people in the room. I already got 3 people in the room. Hello, gentlemen.
Hey, can you hear me all right?
Oh, I'm back.
Hey,
Excellent.
I'm hearing everybody well. No talk about vaccines and no talk about the 2020 election.
Fair enough.
Besides that, most topics are pretty open.
No, I just caught you guys live. I was going to comment on the CPI you were just looking at and the inflation issue you're spiking. So I work in finance and I work at a large company, and it's difficult to prove causation, but there's a very strong correlational link to the market reaction to leftists or Democrats in office and how businesses respond to what's going to go on, mostly from a regulation standpoint. So when the shot came out and some of the regulation came out, my company specifically, along with a bunch of other ones, were spending money on preparations that ultimately when the court turned it down, it wasn't an issue, but at some point that cost has to be remonetized for the company, which is a price increase. Like many companies are doing price increases. You have supply chain issues. You also have people are spending more now. Well, not now, but after the pandemic sort of ended, people started spending more, or not getting out more, I guess you could say. And that's another factor that when the supply chain starts to open up or it gets pinched, and people start spending, they start increasing prices because they're trying to make up for a year worth of low profits, for lack of a better, for many companies.
Right. Yeah, I mean, we've seen gas prices go up. We've seen food costs go up. Everything across the board has been gone crazy.
Yeah, and it's largely, in my opinion, it's mostly Wall Street speculation, because
that's the word I was looking for. Speculation. That's why gas prices spiked when Joe Biden took office.
Because people don't understand. It's not like, a new president gets into office and all of a sudden the oil and gas coming out of the ground is at a higher cost. No, it takes 6 months for that stuff to go through a refinery process, through the pipeline. But the refineries know they're going to experience a cost increase some point down the line. So they increase prices right away, and it's a commodity. You have to buy it. Your only reaction is, oh, well, maybe I won't take that road trip this summer like I was going to do because it's going to cost, $300. And it doesn't pinch anyone making over $100,000. It pinches people making, the lower folks making less money, or the families that are going to take 1 or 2 road trips up north or to go to the lake or whatever in the summertime. That becomes from 2 to 1. You know what I mean? And it's in those day trips that people enjoy. That's how it changes our behavior. And it's not a ton of money, but in the aggregate of adding it all together, you're talking people going from like, oh, well, I was spending, I mean, even me personally, I went from spending $250 a month on gas to almost $400.
Right. What kind of car do you have?
I have a Mercedes, and it takes premium, but it gets good gas mileage. I get about 29 miles per gallon, but I'm filling up once a week, and that's, I can absorb the cost, but that makes a difference when you're talking $100 a month. It's $1,200 a year. That's a vacation for a family. You know what I mean? Or that's a vacation for a couple. So that changes their behavior, and it's and there's not anything people can do about it.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, other than drive less.
So T. Haley's back. I think you're having internet problems. So Darby is a financial guy that wanted to come on and talk about it. And the word that I was trying to find earlier was speculation, which has an impact on a lot of the things that happen in our economy. So, T. Hilly, what do you think about that? Did you hear what he was talking about earlier when he said there's some correlation, but it's hard to prove causation? Yeah, we can't hear him. T. Hilly, your mic's off. T. Hilly. Yeah, he's having problems connecting.
Yeah, it must be.
Okay, you're back. Can you hear us?
Yeah, we can see you. We just can't hear anything.
Yeah. He might have to get booted.
Yeah.
He's ruining the quality of my stream.
Well, we can talk about something in the meantime if you want.
Yeah, so is your name Darby?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Awesome. Where are you located?
I'm in Michigan.
Oh, okay.
What about you?
I'm in Florida, Tampa.
Oh, that's a good state to be in. No income tax. Must be nice.
Yeah, well, I don't have a lot of income, so it doesn't really affect me too much right now.
Oh, well.
But hopefully that'll improve in the next couple of months as we get closer to the election.
Yeah.
Or the campaigning. Once the campaigning starts, I think that's when my channel is going to start getting boosted by YouTube.
Yeah, and I think I was listening to some other podcasts, and one of the guys was saying, especially when it gets to election coverage, if you focus your content on like 3-minute clips, that is, sort of pithy and to the point, or on something relevant, kind of current events or something, or something interesting that people from 35 to 65, particularly men, will find interesting, that you're going to get a huge regulation bump or in the algorithm, because when the Republicans start spending money, their target demographic is men on YouTube, because that's a primary user, and then the men are going to be like 35 to 55 or whatever the age group is. So when they kind of turn on the spigot a year or whatever in advance, you're going to see a shitload of fucking money coming in, and they're going to look at, hey, who has the most, who's targeting that audience, and they'll look at your demographics, and you might be able to film 4 or 5 3-minute clips in a day, and then load them up 3 times a day, and then try that for a couple weeks or a month and see how it does. Even just like reactions to stuff like shit like this Crowder Daily Wire thing.
Yeah,
that kind of thing, and that'd be interesting to see how much of a reaction you get from that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, in 2020, my biggest advertiser was actually Joe Biden. He was putting ads in front of my videos, so that's called competitive conquesting, when a competitor runs an ad against opposite.
Okay.
So I thought that was pretty interesting that Joe Biden was like paying me, paying my bills back in 2020 before I was shadow banned. But secondly, YouTube is actually turning on ads for shorts soon.
Yeah,
so
that's
going to be huge, because I've had some shorts that had 1 million views, and
yeah.
had ads been running on those videos, I would have made about probably 5 to 10 grand on those videos.
Yeah, that's what I think. I was listening to somebody who it's hard to know, because the analytics and the demographics are like kind of different for everyone, because they don't let you know how the secret sauce. But somebody was saying a video that hits it with 1 million views or something, for example, that could be worth 20 grand. You know what I mean? It depends how long the video is. You get a 20-minute video that maybe the length doesn't matter. You know what I mean? If you're just getting eyes on it and your click-through rate is good enough, 1,000 hit video might make 10, 20 grand. You know what I mean? Like that's
crazy.
Oh shit, that's month. One video a month or something is you're making a lot of money.
The most I've ever made on a video on YouTube was 4 grand. That was only like
that's a lot of fucking money. That's a lot of money for a video.
That was one video, and that's been it. Like that's been the biggest video. It happened.
Yeah, that's
time.
pretty good. Do you chop it up and repost it then?
No, I need to start doing more of that.
Yeah, that's what I don't have any content on YouTube. I've thought about making it, but it's interesting if you could make a 40, 20 or 30-minute video, which it's easier to talk to someone and have a conversation than it is to do it yourself, other than like planning it out and stuff. But those long form discussions, if you can chop them up into pithy, 3 to 10 to 15 minute clips, like 3 hours of work just got you a month worth of posts. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
so it can make a big difference.
I mean, sometimes when I do street interviews, I could turn those into like little shorts. So one street interview video will get me like 5 or 6 shorts, and it's like, boom, you have some extra content.
Yeah.
But I need to start doing more of that for sure. Let me ask you a question. Are you going to vote for Trump in 2024?
Probably. I'm like, I like DeSantis also, but I think if anything is going to change, Trump is the only one that's going to change it. And the reason is because DeSantis is, I like what he's done in Florida, and he's probably been the best governor, but he's part of the apparatus. Like, he was a congressman, so he knows how Washington works. And I think, it's hard to know for sure, but when push comes to shove, I think he may not get as much done as Trump could get done in terms of like, Trump will come in with a sledgehammer and he'll like, everyone will be gone. And that's really like, especially the deep state shit with the FBI and the CIA and some of these real scumbags in there, like they have to go. Like, you know what I mean? And he's the one who's pissed off enough to do it, and he doesn't care if people don't like it. DeSantis will be worried about like, well, I got to get reelected, and the media will just crap on him constantly. And Trump is so Teflon. He's like, okay, whatever. I don't care. Like, and and I mean, we don't know half of it's bad as how it actually is in Washington, but the stuff we see coming out over the last several years because of the internet and people actually doing real reporting, it's, something really drastic has to change. You know what I mean? It's ridiculous how, the FBI comes out, framing people for crime. Like, is America so safe that the police have to start framing people? People like
that's what happens in America. There's a shortage of racism, so they have to make up a lot of racist events.
Yeah.
Like
well, even here in Michigan, there was a plot to, I don't know if you're comfortable talking about it, the plot to assassinate the governor, and they had a trial. All the guys were acquitted. One guy, like Minky made a deal, and then I think 2 of the guys got retried, and then of course they got convicted when they got retried. But, there's the bureau chief that was in charge of the investigation got a promotion after they caught the guys.
Well, looks like we have technical difficulties. He's probably getting a phone call. He'll come back in a second. Hey, it's all good.
It comes out not long after that the FBI had an informant, basically entrapping these guys, and the whole whole thing is, wow, it must be really safe in Michigan that the FBI has to spend their time making up crimes to go solve. You know what I mean? Like, so that kind of stuff is just like, and then when that stuff comes out, people start digging and looking into the past, and they're like, holy shit, look at all the stuff they did 40 years ago, or it's a rabbit hole you jump down, and you're like, oh my god, what a mess. Like, these institutions you thought were something you could trust, or like that were on the right side, they're not at all.
Oh, they're all corrupt.
Like, very, very corrupt. Very.
Yeah, it's like calling the police and finding out the police are in bed with the criminals.
Yeah, or they show up and they show up and they plant evidence at your house.
Right.
You know what I mean? To be like, oh well, here's an extra, there's an extra crime or something. Like, what, it's there are probably plenty of regular rank and file officers that are fine, and they're just trying to help people. But from the top, the man, anyone in a position of leadership is either they're handcuffed in terms of like, oh, I don't want to lose my job, because if I actually do my job, they'll accuse me of racism or politicization or whatever it is, or they're just crooked. You know what I mean? Right. So it's they're damned if they do, damned if they don't. And I sure as hell wouldn't want to be a cop today. Like, it's, you arrest the wrong person and it gets caught on video, and even if you did everything right, you're going to trial. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's scary.
Yeah, I could never be a cop. I have some family members that are in the force, and the stories that they've told me, it's the stuff that they have to deal with every day is unbelievable. And it doesn't get any news coverage. The good arrests that they do sometimes, no one hears about that.
And that's part of the problem too, is the media only covers bad shit.
Right.
You know what I mean? They're like, they don't tell you about the cop who stops the school shooting. You know what I mean? Like, or you might hear about it locally, but you don't hear like, there's, millions of uses of force a year that stop people from hurting people. You know what I
Correct.
mean? Like, but you hear about the 10 where it's questionable. So,
Right.
and then they make it appear that the 10, like, if you ask foreigners, hey, what do you think the United States, like, they'll think every person of color on a street corner is getting accosted by the police and shook upside down. You know what I mean?
Right.
And like, no, it's not like that at all. Like that's what people would think. And it's just funny how, you can't get any objectivity from the media.
Right. It's really sad.
Yeah.
Have you always been a Republican, or are you a Republican?
Yeah, I'm more Republican than anything, but the more I learn about government, I'm libertarian type, or really like libertarian or anarchist, and not anarchist like mayhem, but it's when you look at human nature, especially the last couple of years, to me, anytime you have a system of government, people are going to corrupt it. You know what I mean? Over time, it starts in these life cycles like Athens, Rome, any of these democracies that have existed in history, they last about 200, 250 years. And then as people become more free, they get comfortable and the restrictions to vote it becomes easier to vote, and you get people that don't have as much skin in the game voting, and they vote for stuff that doesn't benefit the long run. What is it? There's a Scottish philosopher, Fitzpatrick or Fitzgerald, who wrote a article a couple hundred years ago about democracy, and it says it lasts about 200 years because what happens is it has these life cycles, and the last life cycle is when more people they can vote themselves benefits from the government treasury, and when it hits that 51%, you have 49% of people paying money to the other 51, and then you have a tyranny of the majority. You know what I mean? So and then they start changing laws. So the whole system collapses at a certain point. You know what I mean?
We're there. We're already at that.
But yeah, we are. Yeah,
250-year mark or something. What are we? 70? Yeah, almost. Are we 250 years old? Almost.
Yeah, we're about. Yeah, and that's what they talk about as the last step is like apathy or something, where people are so like disconnected with government, they're just like whatever, and they don't care.
I think it's beyond that. I think people are becoming disconnected with other people.
That's a part of it. That's part of it too. Is it's because when you get together with other people, you can solve problems, you can work together, and you can find commonalities, and but that's why every single way people used to get together and put their differences aside, they took away.
Right.
Sports, movies, like you can't watch a football game without a politically slanted commercial or something in the game whether it's the uniforms on the players or commercials in between the plays or something on the field. It's like, oh my God, can't I have 2 hours away from this shit? You know what I mean? Like,
I was in Charlotte last year at some point, visiting this beautiful Asian girl. She's not watching my stream, but she was a very attractive girl. And we decided to get some ice cream. And to me, ice cream is supposed to be like this very innocent, experience. It's an escape, right?
Right.
And I go to the store, and right on the fucking window was this big Black Lives Matter sticker. And I was like, why am I reminded of this shit when I'm trying to have ice cream?
Yeah.
It's in your face everywhere. All this woke bullshit.
Yeah, you can't get away from it.
No, like, can I just have some ice cream with some rainbow sprinkles and leave me the fuck alone?
Right. Yeah. Can I have my ice cream without a side of politics? Like,
oh my God. It honestly just really upset me when I saw that.
Yeah. And what's funny is I don't really understand why these business owners don't realize you're alienating half of your prospective audience.
Well,
or your customer base by doing
that could be a strategy though. Sometimes, like there was a diner in DeBarry, Florida, which on their window said, if you voted for Biden, you're not welcome in my restaurant. He straight up said, do not come here. That man, his restaurant sold out all the time by Trump supporters constantly.
Right. Well,
so
it only works one way though.
Correct.
You know what I mean? Like
correct.
You have to come out as right, because people are so sick of the big government leftist woke agenda that if you just come out and say, hey, listen, we don't care about politics, we're just about making good food, and leave your politics at the door. People are like, oh, I want to patronize that business because they're not playing game. This is what we do. We make good food and that's it.
Right.
So, and if protesters are gonna, break our glass windows and shit, the owner's standing out front with his gun. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, I'm allowed to protect my, so it's and that's the kind of like, the kind of thing people need to see. But of course, it gets painted like it's a fucking vigilante, like
right.
kind of thing. So it's, like your example of ice cream, it's like, can't I just, I don't need a pride flag on every, to get cookies. Like,
right.
Right.
I walked into a coffee store yesterday in St. Petersburg that had rainbow flags on the window.
Yeah.
The pride flag, and all the employees had like colored hair and facial piercings.
Yeah.
Short hair, the non-binary hairstyle. And I walked in with my super MAGA hat and my Trump flag.
Right.
And let me tell you something. The looks I got from these employees, it was because they were all white liberals, all of them.
Of course, yeah.
And then there's me coming in, the only Trump supporter. And it was quite the stares I got.
Yeah, well, it's probably worth the reaction to go in and just to see people's faces, like when you because no one think and that type of shit only happens one way. Because
right.
if someone wearing a rainbow flag shirt walks into a restaurant, no one gives a shit. You know what I mean? They're like, they don't care.
Right.
But it or if they're if it's one of those like drag queen brunch things, or like, that's a different story. But even there, like, nobody cares about that shit either. Like, there aren't like 200 conservatives standing out front like, they're not doing that shit. Like, it's just people that come in, and the left is the most intolerant people in the world.
Do you have kids?
No, I don't have any.
No kids yet? Do you have a wife?
Nope.
Ladies in the chat
right.
room. You got two single dudes here.
Right. Yeah. Oh, trust me. You don't want to get me started on dating. That's a fucking nightmare today.
Can I ask how old you are?
Yeah, I'm 37.
37 years old.
Yeah.
And let's talk about dating for a little bit. What's your experience been in? You said you're in Michigan.
Yeah.
What's your experience up in Michigan?
For me, not bad, but it's not as good as it could be. So I've been single and in relationships over the past 15 years or so. I've had some long-term ones and some short-term ones, and then had periods of being single. This is the longest period I've probably been single since I've been dating, for 15 or whatever, almost 20 years. And, those stints of being single between a relationship and the next relationship, where, you're meeting people or going out or whatever, this is the worst period of dating in my 15 plus years. It's
Same.
The quality of women is the worst I've ever seen in my fucking life. Like,
yep.
And I'm not perfect. I have plenty of shit to work on, but I'm in a good position in my life, and it's taken me 15 years to get here. So I'm like, hey man, I've really got a lot to offer, at least according to what women say they want. I like a guy who's tall and in shape and has a nice car and all the basic shit that women are looking for that they see on Instagram. And hey, I've got all that. So you'd think the women would be falling down. Even the ones, the problem is, if they're interested at all, they're fucking fat.
That's what I get too, bro. I get if you look at my dating apps, I'm kid you not. The only women that match with me are morbidly obese women, which
right?
I don't want.
Right.
Single moms, which I don't want long term.
Right.
Trans women, which I don't want. Cougars that are in like 50 years old and up, which I don't want.
Right.
Oh, and gay guys who set their app to being a female, which I don't want. Right. So it's like, those are my options.
Yeah.
Those are my options. Where are the 20-year-olds, 25-year-olds? Where are they? Why aren't they matching with me?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know.
I'm not the top 10%. I'm not the top 1%, and that's all they're going for. They're all
no,
going
and I'm arguably in the top 10%. And
right.
Even in terms of, obviously there's more to dating than just tangible shit, but that thing about the women want a guy who's 6 feet tall to make six figures. What's that?
How tall are you?
6 feet.
Oh, so you got the 6 feet tall. Do you have a six pack?
Yes.
6 feet tall, six pack, six figures. Yeah, you're the 1%. That's exactly what I want.
It's funny. It's funny because even if the guy isn't in shape, I mean, obviously you can't be 400 pounds, but if a guy is just 6 feet tall and he makes 100 grand, he's he's like less than 2% of men.
That's what I'm saying. And now you have the pack too. Yeah, you're the 1%.
Right. Yeah. And obviously, I bald, so some women aren't into bald guys, which is fine. But what's funny is,
I'll upset it.
Yeah. Well, and you'd be surprised how many like young girls have like a dad thing. Like, I'm not a dad, but they're like, I mean, I've gotten more than a couple messages where the girls come on messages, oh, you're making my daddy issues go crazy or something like that. So it's like, which are like, those girls are fine for fun, but that's not long, that's not a relationship material. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
But it's interesting. And I'll be curious to hear what you think. Cause when I dated in the past in periods of being single and, in a relationship, it kind of worked out like, oh, I would be single for a few months, but in the past, the women you'd meet, whether it was online or in person, they genuinely seemed interested in wanting to have a relationship of some sort. Like they were dating. Yeah, they were dating with some sort of intention. Like, oh, I want you to be my boyfriend or together. And there was a kind of progression where it happened organically. And if you're talking to a couple different women, one would fall off and usually you'd end up with one. And, but today the women are, it's so surprising. Like, and I've dated attractive women that were interested and, women that are from average to above average. They do not fucking want relationships. Like, I don't get it. Like maybe I come off as a dick or something, but, I've had, multiple, second dates, so I can't be that bad, but they just don't like, I don't know what it is. They're just so disinterested in pairing with a man. I mean, like,
the need for men has been very erased.
Yeah, it's gone
here in the U.S. And I just feel like to be in a healthy, happy relationship, you need to have a feeling of needing the other person.
Yeah, absolutely. Right?
We don't have
do you want to be with someone that doesn't need you?
Exactly. Right. There needs to be some degree of I need you. And that's why, and I spoke about this on my video earlier today, that men are leaving the U.S. and they're going abroad. They're going to places like Ukraine, Poland, Philippines, Thailand, Brazil.
Yeah.
They're escaping to these places to find the women that are being raised to be wives.
Yeah, traditional.
Right. Here's the thing. You tell an American woman, can you cook me a meal? Can you do my laundry? They find that to be very offensive.
Yeah, that's like slavery for them.
You date a Filipino girl from the Philippines, not an American one.
Yeah.
Obviously different culture. But you date a girl in the Philippines, you don't have to ask.
Right.
You don't have to ask. Things just get done. As long as you take care of her financially, which is cheap because you're in the Philippines.
Right, yeah.
And you do your part, they'll do their part, and now you're both happy because you're both doing your parts.
Right.
Not in America.
No, it's much different. So it's and there probably are slices of those women out there, but I ain't fucking meeting them. Like, I don't know where.
Super ultra conservative religious girls, and unless you're in that circle, you're not going to find it. And I'm not that type. Like, I'm not.
Neither am I. Like,
like I'm not a virgin. It's too late. I'm not going to be able to find Christian Catholic virgin who's going to want me.
Right. But even those women though, the ones that are cute and low body count and come from a good family, they're not pretty.
Right.
They're like average. And like, listen, if I got to fuck this woman for the rest of my life, I got to at least like what I'm looking at. Like, and it's as a guy, even if you build yourself up to be whatever, if you get to a certain point where you're like, okay, I'm in a good position, and you're like, oh fuck, man, some of these older women are hard to deal with. The younger women, you basically have to train them how to date or how to be with a guy. But at some point, you're like, fuck, it took me 10 years to put myself in this place. Now I got to start training. I got to train someone else how to like. But that's kind of like what you have to deal with is that you have to fucking build a woman from scratch, or because they I mean, shit, if you find a woman that can cook, it's fucking rare. I mean,
Right.
like,
Of
which
course.
is
Yeah. Today it's very hard. I've dated a
right.
lot of women in my life, and maybe out of the hundreds of girls I've gone on dates with, only a handful cook.
Yeah, yeah, that's the exact same. Like, there's a economist who's on YouTube called Aaron Cleary. He wrote a book called The Book of Numbers. So he looks at he studied the like percentage chance of finding a woman, with basically without red flags, or that's like wife material or something like that, and it ended up at like 2%.
Yeah, that
Right,
surprised me.
right. Well, and what's even funnier is like, and even he was like, man, it can't be that low. But then I'm sitting there thinking like, well, I've probably dated, you know, more, actually, I've talked to probably hundreds of women, but I've dated, actually met in person and gone out more than, a couple times, probably 50 women in my life. And I can think of one or two that were probably real long-term relationship material,
Right.
that's basically, less than 5%. So I was like, okay, well, maybe that's a good number. Like,
Yeah, you might have been the higher ends of the possible range.
right. Any other ones, it's like, fuck, man. Like, and, as guys, we don't start thinking about this shit or realizing is it until you start getting older. When you're 24, you don't think about it. You're just like, is she hot? You know what I mean?
Right.
But then you look back and you're like, oh my God, like, all these women had issues, like, so it's definitely like, it's surprising how bad it's gotten. I mean, maybe it's not surprising, but I still get fucking surprised because, like, God, this is what a nightmare. Like,
Yeah, man. Do you prefer dating girls your age or younger?
typically younger if I can find them. Like, I mean, I would, I've gone out on dates with women that are, a couple years older than me. I don't have an age, like, a hard cap if she's attractive, but in terms of relationship, like, I'm not going to get in a relationship with especially, I'm kind of on the fence about kids. I'm open to having kids, but if I'm looking at a long-term relationship with a woman, she's got to be probably under 30. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Or like, because it's, and then the funny thing is even if you're in the right position to have kids, like yourself, and you meet a woman who's like 32, 33, 34, and she's got to fucking have kids right away. You know what I
Yep.
mean? So you're
Yeah,
like,
there's
I
no
don't want that.
delay.
Right. I don't want that fucking pressure. Like,
It's a good point.
yeah. And it's funny. I heard someone say once, like, if a woman is 30 and pretty and single, there's something wrong with her.
Right.
Like, just fucking crazy, because any guy, any attractive woman who's not a nutcase is going to get snapped up in a heartbeat. You know what I mean? Like, before 30 for sure. So it's certainly a minefield.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like a woman who's beautiful is let me try to use this analogy here. Is like a blackjack player who is on this super hot streak. They got all the chips on the table, but then they start going on a losing streak, and
Yeah.
that's when they
Yeah.
get up from the table. So it's like a lot of these women, they should have settled down when they were in their 20s, in their physical desirable
Yeah.
prime in men's
Yeah.
eyes,
Yeah.
got locked down instead of waiting till 35 when they're on the decline. And
Yeah.
now
Yeah.
they're looking around, and their value in the dating scene is significantly lower
Yeah.
than it was when they
Yeah.
were 20, 5 years old.
Yeah. Yeah. And they think their career matters. Like, they think men give a shit.
Yeah, no, we don't. As a matter of
Right.
fact, for a lot of men, it's a turnoff when a woman's
It
like
is.
successful. When I meet a
Right.
woman and she's like, "Oh, I make $1 million a year," I'm like, "All right, I can't do anything for you. I'm out." Like,
Right. Right.
what can I bring to you? You'll
Right.
never need me.
Yeah. I dated a woman who was uh, um, a corporate counsel for a Fortune 500 company. So this is, very smart, successful woman, very attractive, but she was a couple years younger than me, so 35 or whatever. And I was actually on purpose kind of chauvinistic. Like, I would make jokes about women and shit like that. And she would, make faces and shit, but she kept seeing me because the women are so fucking starved for a guy who talks back to them. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, is actually a man and says like, oh, whatever. I don't care about, I don't care about your fucking job. Just, bend over, that kind of thing. And so you can have some success, but it's going to be only women that are kind of starved for that kind of male affection,
Right.
that they'll deal with, like, you saying like, oh, just bake me cookies and suck my dick, like that, that kind of shit. Like, I don't care about your job, like that kind of thing. So I would make those fucking comments or jokes, and especially when she's like, oh, I had to go in the office early, or oh, I'm working late, and I'm like, hey, honey, you could have fucking lived with me, not worked, bake cookies for a living, and suck dick. Like that's, but they don't want to do. They don't want to do it. You know what I mean? So it's just fucking. It's
well,
funny.
you have to out masculine their masculine energy. That's
right,
the thing.
right. And that gets it's a fun sparring thing or flirtiness at first, but
Right.
after a couple months of it, you're like, fuck, I don't want to battle every time I fucking try to go to pick where I'm going to go to dinner. You know what I mean? That's like, or everything is a fight. You know what I mean? And that's what it usually ends up being.
Right.
But in Lord knows they don't fucking share their money with you. So what's the? It's
No,
not like
the money you make is theirs, and the money they make is theirs.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So I want to see if I can pull this video in for us. It's I don't know this video. This version's got too much commentary, but it's a Filipino girl from the Philippines who married a white guy from the U.S. This girl right here.
Okay.
She's actually really cool if you watch this video, but basically she just insults kind of American women, Western women who.
Well, there's a lot of material there.
Well, the thing is, she's basically saying, why do you think these American men are coming to take us, the Filipino women?
Yeah.
Like, why do you think that they find us more desirable than you? She's like, because I cook, I clean, I do his laundry, I make him happy. And in the beginning of the video, she drinks a cup of coffee, and she's like, and guess what? My boyfriend, he made me this cup of coffee, ladies. And guess what? And she says, like, guess what? It's delicious. And what she's trying to say is she appreciates the cup of coffee. She's thankful.
Right.
She's thankful.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful thing. It's a two-way street. You do things for each other.
Yeah. And that's a huge thing, is the lack of gratitude.
No gratitude in this country.
None.
None. Even it goes down to the tipping culture, right? When I'd be in Thailand, and I get a $2 massage, and I would tip $2.
Yeah.
They would do this. They would pray every time. They would give me the biggest, most kindest, warm thank you.
Yeah.
When I was in Mexico, I took a taxi. It was like $20. I went to tip the guy 10. He said, no, that's too much. He says, too big of a tip. I was like, you serious, bro?
Yeah.
It's crazy. In America, you go out to a steak restaurant, $100, you tip 30. They don't even look at you. They don't even look at you.
Right. Yeah. Well, and what's even worse is, and the service ain't worth 30 sometimes too.
I know.
Like
no
I
smile
mean,
on their face.
Right. Especially after the pandemic. Like I was dating a girl for a few years through, before the pandemic and then through that. And she used to get on my ass all the time. She's like, I want, I like to tip 20%. And I'm like, I only tip 20% if the service is good. So she'd fucking hassle me, and she's like, you're cheap. You don't tip 20%. I'm like, honey, you're wearing diamond earrings I bought you. Like, and you're calling me cheap? Like what the fuck? Like I'm like, listen, if the service is good, my water glass is full, and they're attentive, I'll fucking tip. You know what I mean? Like, but the, for some reason, like when I go to a restaurant, the service just isn't that good anymore. It's just surprising, like how much of a difference it makes, or it's how much it's changed.
It's probably, I mean, a lot of it is the effects of the pandemic, the effects of the effects of inflation, the effects of the economy. I think people are people are in a bad state right now.
Yeah, and it's in the restaurant thing is a lot of restaurants closed. Where I live, 25-30% probably closed and didn't reopen. And anyone that was in that business said, I'll find something else to do. You know what I mean? Right. And it's, so you lose a lot of good people that way.
Horrible.
Yeah.
So SW Marb says, standing outside with a gun protecting your business during a riot is perceived as a conservative Republican right-wing action.
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah.
That is true. That is true. It is definitely a more of a right-wing action. Well, guys, we're going to wrap up this chat now. If you have any questions that you want us to answer now, you have about a few minutes left. We're going to cut this off at the 2-hour mark. This was a long stream tonight. I was supposed to be at the gym already. Did you hit the gym already today?
Yeah, it's actually where I came from just before I hopped on. So
what'd you do today?
Arms today.
Oh, arm day. Nice. Yeah, I did. My last 2 days were arm days. Today's a chest day.
Okay. Yeah, that's good.
I break it up by muscle groups.
That's what I do. I do different muscle group each day. So
yeah, Nikki, no problem. I mean, this was a random stream that 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 I had with Darby over here. To pull him on. We'll do more of these. Well, I'll just send the link and then people could hop on.
No, this is good. I like it. It's nice to be able to talk to other guys or people that, like
We don't do this enough.
in different areas. Cause it is hard to, unless you're talking to people at the water cooler at work or whatever, or a guy at the gym or something, it's, you don't get to connect and talk about this controversial shit that much. So it's good to see what other people think and get some ideas.
Rachel Bowers says, these men are spot on. Women these days have something to prove, particularly to men. Traditional feminism is not enough. They have to emasculate them. It's disgusting. God bless men. There you go.
Yeah, that's
true.
true.
We want to say God bless women. I mean, we love women. Let's be honest.
Yeah,
we
right.
love
Yeah.
you guys. We honor you, respect your bodies for what they can do. You guys can give birth. Every single person watching this was born to a woman's body.
Right.
And
yeah.
I hate the fact that the left is trying to take that away from you guys by saying things like pregnant people and menstruating,
Right.
and menstruating men.
Right.
It is absolutely absurd that they're scared to call women. And, we're totally against that. I'm against that in my,
Yeah. It's nonsense.
When I was a liberal, I did not care, by the way. I was just like, whatever, trans women are women. If you identify. No.
Yeah.
My mind has been flipped back to common sense.
Yeah. Well, and it's, people can argue one way or the other, but it's basic nature. It's science. Like it's DNA. If you don't like it, go argue with God or Mother Nature, whoever you believe in. Like
exactly,
it ain't gonna change. Oh, it's your
my
dog.
My girl Raindrop, and I got one more over here named Cloud, who was sleeping. I just woke her up.
Yeah, I have a terrier that's about the same size. He's at my parents' right now, though. He comes back home tomorrow.
No, what's his name?
Louis.
How old is he?
7.
That's a good boy.
Yeah.
Cloud's a good girl. She's 3 years old.
Yeah,
and
if I get on you again.
11. This girl's 11.
Okay. Yeah, they're cuties.
Yeah,
it's a nice size too. You can take them with you places, and they're easy to take care of. So.
Yeah, Raindrop's been to 10 countries.
Oh wow,
10 countries,
that's nice.
And Cloud's been to 3.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Hey, Cloud, how you doing, girl? Awesome. Well, hey, man, if you have do you have Instagram and Twitter?
Yeah.
Add me. I'm Adam Francisco.
Yeah, I'll find you and I'll add you on there.
And then I'll add you back.
Okay.
And I'd love to have you on the show again.
Sure.
We could talk politics when there's like a big news story, or if there's a topic you want to talk about, just DM me and you're more than welcome to come to my show.
No, and I think this type of shows are a lot better when you have a co-host or someone to go back and forth on.
Of course.
Because the conversation is a lot better. Like, because I've thought about doing this type of stuff myself. And I'm like, well, fuck, what am I going to talk about for 30 minutes and not like screw up? But, riffing back and forth is, you get different ideas. And this is what guys used to do before they fucking, segregated us all to our cell phones and in houses instead of, the football field or the bar or the gym and stuff like that. So
that's right.
Trying to take away all our spaces.
Yeah, it's definitely therapeutic for everybody to come on
for sure.
Just have this kind of release,
Yep.
Awesome. Well, thanks for talking to me. I appreciate your time.
Yeah, sounds good. Thank you. I appreciate it.
We'll see you again. All right.
Yeah, take it easy.
Yeah, have a good night. Awesome. So that was really a unexpected, amazing conversation. And what I'll do is when this video finally processes, I'll upload our conversation as its own video. Just because this video was originally meant to be the Steven Crowder reaction, and then we obviously morphed into a debate, and then we had a conversation with my new friend there, Darby, and he seems like a great guy. He's a guy I definitely would love to hang out with, grab a drink with if he's ever in Florida. Obviously, I can't travel too easily these days because of my machine, but if he ever comes down to Tampa, then we'll do something here, grab a few cocktails, but hold the tail, right? Just kidding. All right, guys, I appreciate all you being here. Blue Eyes, I think you were the only super chatter, if I remember correctly. So I want to say thank you for the super chat tonight. And everybody else watching, thank you again, as always, for being here. Please do me a favor, spread the word of my channel. Tell your friends about my channel, because I am shadow banned. And, the more people that watch, the more fun that we're all going to have. And this video is sponsored by Hemp for Heroes, which is it's not really sponsored. No one's paying me. It's my own personal brand. It is a hemp product, and I take it every night. I've actually started taking it now more times per day. I take it sometimes midday. I take it since I'm going to wake up now, because it has anti-inflammatory properties. And Liberty Lemon tastes delicious. Oh, I love it. Under my tongue. Helps me relax. You can find this by going to hempforheroes.com. Hempforheroes.com. All bottles, I believe, are $30 right now. So it's a great price, and every purchase does support my channel. So if you guys want to go buy a bottle, we'd appreciate that. All right, guys. As always, God bless Trump. The comeback is on. He said his rallies are going to be starting up again. And I'm going to do everything in my power to try to get to his rallies. So stay tuned for more of that. And I'll see you guys tomorrow.